Hey guys, Dev here at WeBuyHouses.com. Welcome to Cash Offer Masterclass episode number 20. What is this Cash Offer Masterclass thing we're doing? Well, it's me teaching you how to make a profitable cash offer so that you make money in real estate. That's what it's all about. I mean, if you're not making money, you're not really doing real estate investing. So we're going to jump into how we calculate cash offers following the formula that we use. Now, before I jump into that, I want to just say here at cashoffermasterclass.com, if you visit the site, join the community. We're building a community of smart and capable real estate professionals that seek to execute profitable deals and grow a successful business. We'd like to do business together with you. And so the better you are at it, the better we'll be together. And so I want to give you everything I can to help you have the skills to do great. Look at that guy right there. There he is. Isn't that guy cute? I Chat GPT made him. I don't think he looks anything like me, but I don't know, kind of. I think he's cuter than me, so I'm going to go with him. That might be my new mascot. All right, so we're going to jump into how we do the cash offer calculation. Excuse me. First, the process. There's really 3 steps to the process. Very important, and you see them when I go through my cash offer calculator. First, compute the after repaired value. After repaired is what it says. In other words, we've done all the repairs, we've done all the renovations, and what would the house be worth if we've done all that? So step 2 is to calculate the repair or renovation expense estimate that it would take to get the house into perfect condition, into after repaired value. And then number 3, we would then determine the cash offer based upon after repaired value and the repair estimates. Now let's talk about after repaired value. Typically, we look for at least 3 sources for the property value. We're going to do an example here in a minute, and you'll see that I actually pulled 4 different sources. The more, the better. But basically, we'd like to see at least 3 sources for the property value, what we'll call the after repaired value. We would average those 3 values, and then that would be our ARV. Now, step C, if you have access to a realtor's, or maybe you're a realtor or you have a friend who's a realtor or partner, then do a CMA on the property. That's a competitive market analysis, and it will give you a good example of what the property's worth in today's market value. Now, I do want to stop and say something real quick about that exact fact. Today's market value. That is changing. And what I'm seeing in different markets, every market is different, I guess is what I was trying to say. Here in Texas, it's become a very soft market. And so what we're starting to see is some degradation of home values, about 1.7% per month I saw in one study. So what does that give us? It's going to give us about an 8% reduction in property values in the next 12 months, if it continued. And so I'm a little concerned right now in some markets that these ARVs are going to be too high because they're going to be based on the past instead of the future. Now, in your market, and I've noticed it's about 50-50. About half the markets are not seeing declines in value, and about half of them are. One of the things that we are definitely seeing is that higher priced markets are seeing a quicker decline in value than lower priced markets. And so, the average price of a home kind of thing. And so what we're going to look at when we do the ARV calculation here in a moment is we're going to look at 4 values. Those are current values. And I am concerned in any of these houses that I'm looking at in Texas, that value could drop 8% over the next year. And so I could, one of the ways that I'm reacting to that is I'm beginning to be very careful about what I offer for a property because I need to really pull back 5 to 8% in order to make sure that we don't get stuck with an unprofitable deal. So let's talk about the actual formula. Once we know our ARV and repairs, the basic formula for a cash offer is the after repaired value times 70% minus the repairs. And that would be our cash offer, that number that's calculated. And you'll see that in my videos here where we're going through we're going property by property. We're kind of exercising our muscle of, what do repairs look like? What is that telling us? And, what should our cash offer be? Now, I want to talk about the 70% because over time, like when the market got really crazy in the last few years, let's say, I think it topped off in 2022 in many markets as far as the frenzy of just increasing values. Money was very, very cheap. In other words, interest rates were very low and the prices were just going up, 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 up. Now, in that period of time, some people were buying properties at more than 70% discount factor. Now, that's 70% of the after repaired value. It's not 70% of the current value. And so you got to be really careful. It's 70% of after repaired value sounds like a great deal, but really what we're trying to get to is about a 10 to 15% return on a flip. And you need to be at that 70%. And so when the market got really crazy, 2022, 2021, coming into that peak in the housing market, there were folks paying 75, 80% of ARV minus repairs. And I think at the time you could get away with that because, the values were increasing. And if the values are increasing, then you could say, hey, I'll pay a little more, but that's okay. It'll be worth more in the 3 months that I work on it. That's not true in at least half of the markets right now today. The house could be the ARV could be lower in 3 months than it is today. And so if you go in at a 75% of today's ARV or 80%, I think you're going to lose money on that deal. And I don't want you to lose money. So I really think that we as investors, we need to be back at that 70%, and we need to be really careful on ARV, and we need to be really accurate on repairs. Otherwise, our cash offer is not going to be a profitable offer for us. And if we're not making profit, there's no reason to be doing this, right? And so let's jump into it. I believe that's my slides. Let's jump over and look at our victim today. It's from Fazio, and we're going to put these practices and we're going to put those formulas and that information into practice here in just a second. So we're looking at this property from Fazio Real Estate Solutions. They're a local wholesaler. They're a great company. They go out and get a lot of stuff under contract, and then they give you excellent information. We're going to look at the photos of this property here in just a second. But they're saying that this property at 4719 Barn Owl Trail in Grand Prairie, Texas, has an ARV of 506. And so we'll check that, see if our ARV calculation is in line with theirs. Nice property, built in 2013, just 12 years old. It's a 4.5, big, huge house, 3726. So we've looked at some big ones on the channel and some little ones, and this is a pretty good size. And they're offering it for $379. So we'll see where we end up with our cash offer using the calculation that I just showed you. And so let's see about the ARV. By the way, before I jump into this, I have no association with Fazio Real Estate Solutions. I just use their content, and if they have a great deal, I'll be talking to them about it, right? But the point is, I have no relationship with them, but I do like to promote them because I use their content, and I really do appreciate it. And so if you have any interest in this property or really any property that Fazio might have found here in Texas, just call them at 214-646-9646. Ask for Jade Vaughn there, and she will help you out. And so thank you, Fazio, for being our victim today. And let's jump into the numbers. Now, as I told you in the presentation, I've kind of lost the presentation, we want to get at least 3 sources, average them, and maybe compare them to a CMA. I don't have a CMA on this property today. But what I've done is I've looked it up on Zillow. And on Zillow, they have a 469 400 estimate for the property. They say you could rent it for 3,500. It's a big house. 3663. Did that match theirs? No, they said 3627. I don't know. We'll see. 4719 barn, right? 4719 barn. You got to make sure. Sometimes you do a search on Zillow and it shows you, doesn't have it, so it shows you something similar, which is not what you were looking for. Okay. Zillow gave us 469 400. Realtor shows me the house. Again, 3663 for 3.5. So their square foot numbers off a little bit. We could check that to county if we wanted to. I'm not going to do that right now. But I am going to note Realtor at 513 300. I looked at another source because it was the third one that Google had for me, and it's called HAR.com. HAR is the Houston Association of Realtors here in Texas, and they show most listed properties on their website. And they have a market value per appraisal district at 542,770. And then when I looked at my property radar, I believe it was 513. Let me come over here to my calculator. All right. Now, this area right here is what I'm going to be focusing on. Right there. I've taken the numbers that I got from the 4 different sources: Zillow, Realtor, HAR, Houston Association of Realtors, and Property Radar. And what I got was a 509,700 average. And so that's what we're going to go with, 509,700. Now, what did the wholesaler say? 506,500. So what I'm saying on this deal is we just confirmed ARV. Their ARV is a legitimate ARV. Now, will this be the value of this home a year from now? I don't know. I think that'd be $40,000 difference in a year from now if it went down 8%, if my calculation's right. And so basically, I think we've got a good ARV here from Fazio. And so we do appreciate that. 'Cause sometimes wholesalers, they just pull the ARV out of the air. You know, you'll look, all your numbers will be like 300,000. They're saying 400,000 or 500,000. You know, they're just made up a number. This is not a made up number that Fazio is sharing. It really is around the current ARV of this property. And so let's jump into this. I'm going with the 3663 square foot. They've got 3726, but it wasn't confirmed by our sources. And so we're going to go with 3663. That gives us at 509, $139 per square foot, which is not crazy, by the way. Here in Texas, it's pretty reasonable. It's just a very big house, so you get to a pretty big number. And so what does it need? Now, before we jump into it, I'll just point out they are asking $379. We've put no repairs in our model yet. No repairs. You know, we put them in here and they get calculated over here. And we're at $356 is what our model says, because remember the calculation, this calculation right here. We can pay the ARV times 70% minus the repairs. And so if we jump back into the model, that's the ARV times 70% minus the repairs. Right now, if I had no repairs, if it was zero, $356 is what we could pay for the house. They're looking for $379. Immediately, Houston, we have a problem because we've got, basically they're asking more for the house than we could pay for it at just the discount rate, not including any. So if we were to take this house on and then have to get it ready, market it, sell it, everything, we would really have to be at that $356 in order for this to be a profitable deal for us to get involved in. And so that's an issue, but we'll jump into it. Now, I I just want to tell you guys, I never look at the pictures until we look at them together. And I thought that, that would be a good aspect for this channel, is to kind of discover these things, together. Oh, wow. They're just sending us to Realtor this time for pics. Okay, Realtor's got pics. Usually, the wholesaler is giving me pics that we don't see on Realtor or Zillow. We're just going to scan through these real quick, see if this house is in like perfect condition. It looks pretty good. This is a nice house. The style is, that's okay. Coffered ceilings and a stained crown molding in there, white crown molding here with some picture frame panels there. Coffered ceiling, looks like carpet on the floors in there. Yeah, that's just carpet that it's like they mowed the lawn. Fireplace, there you go. I built a house very similar to this. I swear, it's almost like I'm in that room of a house I built. Oh no, my kitchen was back there, but still very similar. And then, flows into the kitchen. The kitchen is nice. This is a nice house. This is a really nice house. It's hard to find repairs in this. Usually with the pictures that the investors will provide us, they're showing us, the air conditioning units and water heater and all this mechanical stuff. And then they're showing us defects in the property, and we can calculate those repairs. This house seems very nice. Look at that. I like the way that's tucked over to the side. It's not, you come into the house, you don't look straight at stairway. I like that. Very nice. Again, very similar to a house I built in South Lake. Breakfast nook, bathrooms. This is basically a ready to sell house. Ready to sell, ready to rent house. I don't know what's going on in the brown room. That might have been like a media room or something, so they kind of want to take the light out of it, but that's a brown room right there. That's a very brown room. Okay, lots of rooms, and there you go. So we don't have a lot with this one, and it's fine for this class. Watch the other videos. This is episode 20. Go back through the 19 that we just did, and you're going to see a lot of repairs needed, a lot of rough conditions. This house basically is in good shape, and so they are selling it, basically at a huge discount. It's not on the market. And if I went over to Zillow and I looked at price history, they had it at $552 at the peak there, that 2022 peak I talked to you about that was coming into 23. That was the peak. And then we went from $552 down to $470. All right, that's a $70,000 difference from the peak down to here. That's what I'm telling you guys. We have been in a declining housing market for a while. People just haven't realized it. But in Texas, I think it's become very, very clear that we are in, a housing market recession, if you will. Values are dropping. So there we go. Let's go back to the model. I think for right now, we'll just say this house is in great shape. It didn't need any repairs. It's not honestly a perfect candidate for a real estate investor. We usually want to go into a house where we can add value and bring it from a depressed situation into the great after repaired value where we can charge full price for it. If somebody brings us a house like this that's in great condition and there's no repairs, then all we can do is discount it by our discount factor and make a cash offer on it, which would be $356. Now, could you pay more than that? Yeah, you could. If you're going to rent it, you might be able to pay more. Wouldn't pay a lot more, honestly, because I don't think it would rent at that $3,700. I think that's what Zillow said, didn't it? No, $3,446 is what Zillow said. Man, I don't know. Uh, these days, not that many people renting at 3,000 plus, but there are some. So that is where I'm going to stop on this one today. Not a great demonstration of how to estimate repairs. You're going to see that in the prior 19 videos. Go watch those videos. But I think today what we talked a lot about was ARV and calculating ARV. And I think it's very important to find these different sources and use them to calculate it. Now, sometimes you'll be told, well, the value in Zillow is not the real value of the house. The value of the house is way higher because of whatever. What I generally find is that this strategy of averaging several sources kind of takes that out of it. Realtor and Zillow assume the house is in good condition. All these things assume the house is in good condition. If we're aware that the house is not in good condition, that's when we have that spread between what the market could be and where the house really is. And we can go in there and make repairs, offer the house for sale, pay the commissions, pay the holding costs, and at the end of the day, make maybe 10 or 15% on the invested capital. And that's why that 70% metric that I showed you earlier is so very important. ARV times 70 minus repairs. And right now, in the market that we're in today, I wouldn't do anything less than 70. In fact, if you're a wholesaler and you're going to be offering this deal to a cash buyer, you should be at 65 on your discount factor, because you've got to leave some room, because they're going to run this calculation. And if you've offered this to the seller, then how are you going to make money when you flip that to a cash buyer? You've got to come in actually lower than the 70. So you should be at 60 or 65% if you're a wholesaler on your initial offers, to see if you can get that spread that you can make when you flip the contract to a cash buyer. So, all right, that's it for today. I just want to remind you guys to go to cashoffermasterclass.com, join the community. My YouTube channel is WBH Dev. Subscribe to the channel, be a part of the community. I have a lot planned for the year ahead. I'm going to just, continue to look at houses. In the next few months, we're going to look at over 100 houses, so that together we can develop the skill set and the mental muscles to do to calculate excellent cash offers, so that we have profitable deals and a successful business. That's what we're here at Cash Offer Masterclass. I hope you're enjoying it so far. I look forward to speaking with you if we have that opportunity in the future. If you have a wholesale deal or a wholesaler is offering you a deal, bring it to me. Let's look at it together. Maybe we can make a video. Thanks, guys. I enjoyed spending time with you. We made it through 20 episodes. Looking forward to the next 20 with you. Have a great day.